And then what we're doing is we actually even went as far as I told her to get a blood test for her dog. I told her to get a allergy test for her dog. And the reason why I told her to do that is because we have a dog that had allergy tests, and then we realized, holy moly, because, you know, he's so allergic to a lot of things now, which is kind of strange. So that was one thing that we did. So basically I told her to do that. So she's gone through the process now of getting blood tests for the dog, getting the allergy test, and she's got those reports. And the reason why we're doing all of this market research and we're collecting all this information is because this is going to be part of our story, right? When we finally launch the actual brand on the website, we're going to basically tell the story that we went through to get to where we are. Right, and that is going to put her in a position as an expert, right, in that thing. Because if you look at a lot of, say, dog foods, dog brands, or any brand, really, if you go to their website, they rarely ever tell you how they actually got to that particular stage and why they got to that particular stage. Usually what they say is, hey, come buy our product. It's a great product. It looks good. It'll do this. But no one ever says why they created the product, what drove them to create the product, and the process that they actually went through to create that particular product. Now, that is what's going to differentiate you big time. That is when you can actually start to get a lot of investment on board if you want investments. That's when you can start to get business partners, because people want to invest in your project because they know that you're doing the right research and you're actually creating something of value, right? Something you're not just adding to the waste, right? You're actually creating something of value. You're putting thought into it, and you've done a market research into it. But this also gives you the confidence to be able to launch that particular product. This gives you the confidence to actually launch that particular product. So a lot of the times if we get taught on Amazon, or the way people teach people how to sell on Amazon or anything else for that matter, a lot of it is really by force, right? They'll say to you, just pick a product first, have a look at the demands, and then just go for it, right? And you can do that. I mean, I did that, right? There's no doubt about it. But for me, and with this 8-week brand startup, is really about thinking of how are we going to make this business. If we're putting all this effort into it now, and we're spending that little money that we actually have to put in this business, how can we actually give it the best go? And how can we actually, really excel at it and really take it to the next level and have that business for a very, very long time, right? So that's an important thing for me. I think it's a lot easier building a business like this than it is to just guess more or less, right? And do it that way, because at the end of the day, we really do only have one shot at it before you might get disheartened if it doesn't work, whatever it is. And I want you to feel good about what you're doing. So by doing that market research and connecting and finding people who are in your potential niche that you're thinking of getting into and having the conversations with them, asking them questions, it's actually going to make you feel a lot better, right? A lot better, because imagine, it's pretty clear, right? If you go in and start doing market research and then we find out that everyone's dog is healthy, right? And no one needs the product. Every time she asks a question, and let's say, for example, it's a silly answers, people are like, what are you talking about? Well, we know not to go there, right? But if we're in a particular niche and we go to these groups and we ask a question and then we realize, hey, we're getting a lot of response. People are very interested in what we're asking, and we're getting the right responses based on what we're trying to validate, right, in terms of the actual product. Now, you can even go to Facebook groups and you can search in a Facebook group before you even ask a question, and you can actually search and see if there's any questions or any comments that have been answered before for what you're trying to get answered, right? So market research is a very, very important thing, and that'll set you up to have the confidence to actually launch your product. But it's also like a compass. It'll let you know exactly if you should launch it or not before you start going really into the development phase of the actual product, right? So we want to understand if what we're trying to solve should be solved, right? And that's how we actually do that. All right. So another thing is, so as we're actually doing the market research, that is going to it's going to give us a lot of excitement, right? It really is, because I know me and my son, we're actually very excited about this process and what we're doing and how I'm helping her to kind of build this business. And she's getting responses back and she's going through all the due diligence, and she hasn't spent any money yet, right? On manufacturing. She hasn't spent any money on branding. She hasn't spent any money on anything at all. All of this stuff is for free. It takes a little bit more time to do, but once you've done it, you've really nailed it. Another thing is, and also I'll add that for me, it's not just about building an Amazon business, right? For me, it's about you actually building a brand, building a brand big enough or an idea good enough where you can go on Shark Tank and get an investment, right? Because they'll look at it, they'll see you've done all the research, they know that you've done all the numbers, you know who your customer is, and go from there, right? So for me, Amazon is a great starting point. And it's a good place to look because a lot of your competition is there, really depending on what kind of product you're doing. A lot of your customers are there. That's great. But you always want to have multiple marketing channels. You want to have your own website. If you can get on Amazon, that's awesome. Get on Amazon. And you really just want to build it as a brand, right? You want to build something that you're proud of, really. Another thing is building a list. So when we think about building a list, so if we've already done our market research and we know that, yes, this is a problem that is worth solving, we know exactly how to solve it based on people's responses. Now we have to start to think about, okay, can we actually build a list of interested people before we even manufacture the product, right? So if we think of building a list, how can we do that? Well, first of all, if we think about the market research phase, right? So the market research phase, now we went on to Facebook groups, right? So we went on to Facebook and there was about, I don't know, there's a lot of people there, like 13,000 or something like that. So technically that is still not really your own list on your own email, right? That is an audience that you have access to, which is brilliant. It's a first step. You have an audience. But how do we get people on an actual list? So on a database, on our own email, where we're basically ready to go, right? So for example, if we start to launch a product, and let's say it's in a dog niche, and then we launch that particular product, wouldn't it be cool if we can send an email out, right, after our product is done, and we already have people who are interested in it, right? So we can send an email out, say, hey, our product is launched. We're live now. You can actually purchase it.